Welcome to another episode of 713 Auto. We're working on Fancy Joe yet again. Today we're doing a little more assessment on what I need to do before the front clip goes back on the truck and before the box goes on. I got the new box bolts in the mail. They look really short, but this truck did have a body lift in it, which you can see right here. This is the old puck. I couldn't get this thing to come off. I actually had to Sawzall most of them off. You can see where it got cut, but I'm going to need to do some more cutting so I can pop that bolt out. This should almost be ready for the box to be put on. We still need the shocks. I have them, I just haven't installed them, so we'll have to do that. Shocks in the front need installed as well. We still need a radiator. This still needs put on, and I believe it's just like self-tappers or whatever that goes on here to actually anchor it down. Cab's all cleaned up. That happened last episode. The front needs put together. We need some epoxy for this switch. The switch and the actual plastics for the dash. The switch mount where it actually clipped in broke. So we're going to have to, I don't know, I think JB Weld would probably do the trick on that one. That's just kind of details that I'm looking at. The seat obviously needs reinstalled. I think it's time for the seat to go back in. All the wiring is all wired up. This stuff kind of needs just tidied. I mean, this wire bundle can just be kind of moved, and the rest of that dash can be put back together. Other than that, I'm going to be buying some primer for the front clip. That needs primed and ready to go on here. Now it's just kind of assessment, and I'm going to go to the parts store, make parts run, get all the stuff I need. I'm back from the parts store, got all my parts, bought the exhaust 90s I wanted, and as you can see, this fits pretty good over this. It's not super snug, but it's not super loose, so that's good. Just clamp that up. This shock has to be moved like way up here, so my exhaust will clear, but the main issue I'm having is this must have rusted out inside a long time ago, so someone welded this over it, and it's a different size. So now this one fits, this one doesn't. Now that I'm looking at it, it looks like this exhaust must be pretty old. Finally got the shrink tube to fix the hot wire. JB Weld. Finally, some self-tappers for the cruise control. This indentation, this indentation, this indentation. I'm going to line them up with that. Just drill them in there. Should be fine. Cruise box, finished. Hot wire, finished. The four-wheel drive shifter is done. So yesterday I got a lot of tedious stuff done, and it was tedious. It's really stupid. I got a pipe expander today, so we're going to be able to fix the exhaust. But one issue we ran into was the four-wheel drive shifter. Trying to get the four-wheel drive shifter was a bit of a challenge because, like I've said a couple times, this truck was a two-wheel drive truck. Now, the body has the spot marked out for where the shifter goes in, but we had to do a little bit of measurements, and I actually had to go in the woods and look at my old cab to get some reference dimensions. Now, this is where things start to go downhill because we had to pull back the carpet to actually cut a hole in the floor, and in doing so, we discovered a major rust hole. It's pretty big, and this is all rusty. So what I'm going to do today, which is kind of setting me back because I didn't have to do this before, but now I have to, is take one of these black wheels, which I really like, and make all this bare metal. And then we're going to lay sheet metal over this, we're going to weld it all in, and then I'm going to bed line the whole bottom of the cab. Here's the progress that I've made tonight. You really can't see it because it's so dusty, but bare metal, I mean, if you move everything, you start seeing all the bare metal. I did this side first, then that side second, but you can really see how much rust. I mean, there's the other side. It's all down to metal. You can see there's just a little kind of crack and hole across that. I don't know what you call that, just that emboss part of the floor. Basically, we're going to take POR paint and then coat it, cover it up, and seal it so it doesn't really rust anymore. I'm not going to do it right now, maybe along the lines of when I'm trying to make this truck nicer. I'm going to go underneath it and lay down some more protective stuff on it, because the floors aren't too bad. Where they're bad, but overall it's not. I mean, I've seen worse, a lot worse. So that's the progress I've made. I had to take a lot of breaks. I had to open up this huge door because the dust was just insane. This whole place would just be clouded, and it was just eating at my lungs, and I couldn't take it anymore. So, oh, and the bad news, can't find any masks in the garage. That's one thing I forgot to grab. This is one piece of the shifter linkage. It went here. It sheared off while we were trying to adjust it. I think we're just going to take these ends. We're going to take this block and then just take an end similar to this. We're going to have to make our own because I can't really find any replacements. We're back at it again, another day. So we're making the patch panels today. Got everything marked out for the sizes, and then found this old piece of sheet metal. Looks rusty, but just surface. I'll clean that back off, get it down to bare metal, then it'll be an appropriate patch. I think I've said on record that I'm not the best welder, so some of these are kind of shoddy, but I mean, it's pretty good. Took a hammer, tried to really pull on that thing. It's not coming out. This is the only side I'm worried about, and I think I actually welded underneath in between it, so I don't know. It's not moving, so I mean, that's a good sign. I gave it a few hammer whacks. Nothing really phased it. As you can see here, we have the floor pans all welded in. I tacked it, and then my dad came through and he welded the rest. I tried welding it, and I started burning holes through the metal because it's so pitted in some places, mostly around this area and around this area, but over here is pretty solid. Finish that over there too. Now I'm going to go through and kind of detail some of the rust where it's bad with a wire brush, try to get it as clean as possible, and then I'm going to seal it up with some undercoat. And here we are. Now, like I said, I wasn't going to paint everything because this is very, very solid and neat, so there's no sense of wasting any undercoating. Also, I think I only had one can, so kind of just scraped by without having to go to the store or anything. But there it is, the repair that I didn't think needed to happen, but needed to happen after I pulled the carpet up. Rubberized stuff usually takes a lot longer to dry, so I'm going to install the interior again tomorrow, hopefully, when this is all dried up. After he got done welding the floor, welded up my exhaust, so there it is. My Adventure exhaust, my two pipes sticking outside. I wanted to have tubes that came out, but I didn't know how much bigger 35s would be if I wanted to go with 35s at some point. So I decided just to leave it at that. If I ever want to change it, I can. I mean, it's just exhaust, but there it is. The shock's out too. These were kind of a pain in the butt because a lot of the times the bushing in the middle will become rusted to the nut and inside of the shock and all that stuff, so I had to grind off each end of the bolt and kind of tap it out, so then our shocks came out. Now one issue I'm running into, which I crawled underneath the truck, and I've noticed this before where one of the bolts was, or one of the nuts was missing, so I found or it's actually two of the nuts that are missing. Took off a nut that was of equivalent size and whatever. So I'm going to take this to shop, make sure I have the right bolt. I'm also taking my bushings with me because I'm sure this came with the kit, but it's been like a year and some of my stuff got scattered around. Luckily, I mean, 99% of the lift is finished. Now I'm just getting the shocks, and there's a few bolts that need torqued. They recommend that you torque everything at the end. So my dad actually got out all the nuts and bolts that we have, and miraculously, out of every single one of these, I could not find a bolt or nut to fit that. I don't know. I don't know why. So I'm gonna have to take a trip to the bolt place. But I think that wraps up this episode. We've gotten a lot of work done. Tomorrow I'm going to come in and finish up the interior, hopefully. And then I got to put an exhaust hanger on and get all 4 shocks on. And then it's just kind of tightening up the details. Because overall, if you come over to my list here, tomorrow the seats need to be back in. The brake line, I don't know if it got cracked in there, but we're not going to worry about it right now. Gas tank, my dad's going to help me out with that tomorrow. It's kind of a 2-man job, and it's pretty much just me here. I need to get the front primed, but that's like end stuff. Shocks need to be done. We got the exhaust 90s finished. I didn't have really anything else on the list here. 4-wheel drive shifters finally in. See you guys next time.